Hi, it's Cindy Fodor with Stamp the Love. I promised you on Monday that I was going to be showing a technique called Joseph's Coat, and I decided to do that for our video today. And to be to be honest, this technique has been around for a long time, but I don't think that I've ever completed it successfully. And it's not hard. So I don't think I knew what I was doing, but I did. I think I watched a description on it, and I think I know what I'm doing, and I have some really fun things to show you. So if you haven't tried it before, you'll want to stay tuned and check it out. So these are the 3 cards that I completed. So this one is using the Forever Fern stamp set. And the colors that I used on this, you can see the shine of the embossing. You see the shimmer here? And you see the different color gradations under the black ink. Okay. I will show you those colors in a second. And then this one I used Positive Thoughts. I always forget the name of that set. Positive Thoughts. And I will show you those colors. But I did cut out here just for fun. Trying to decide. I didn't want to put a big tag on it because I didn't want to cover up a lot of the pretty design. So I just cut out some little tag areas. And they were pretty too. So I decided to turn them into a card. And once again, this is with Positive Thoughts, the stamp set. And the die that I used here is from this So Sentimental Stitched Scallops or something. I can't remember even. I don't think I have that in here right now, but the stamp set that is in the bundle is called So Sentimental, so that will help you find that. All right, so let me start by, I said I would show you the colors I used for this, and I'll go ahead and show you those now. So I used Pear Pizzazz, Garden Green, and Shaded Spruce. And I did it on a white background. So my cardstock was Whisper White. And this is what it looked like before I embossed the images on it. Isn't that awful? Yeah, that's exactly what this looked like. So can you picture it? I'm going to show you how that happens, okay? So don't be too dismayed yet. All right, so those are those colors. And then this one, let me put this aside. This one is the one that I'm going to start with. I'm going to show you what colors I used as I demonstrate how to lay that color down like you see here, just because this needs to dry a little bit before I heat emboss it. So I'm going to stamp on here and finish this piece, but I'm going to start with this one to show you how you go about getting that first layer down. So let me pull in. Now for this one, I started with, instead of Whisper White as my base, I started with Petal Pink. And I only added 2 colors instead of 3. So I added Melon Mambo and Rich Razzleberry. And, you know, doing random stamping or sponging is probably harder than knowing exactly where you're coloring, because you feel sort of lost. You're not sure what to do. Using my Melon Mambo, I mark my my sponge daubers so that I can keep them going in the same color all the time, and I don't have to try to clean in between. So I have one for each color. Now this isn't as smooth as the Whisper White, so it's going to be a little harder on my sponge dauber, and I think it's gonna, and I think this sponge dauber is pretty old too, so it's gonna leave a little bit of a mess behind it. Okay, so once again, I'm doing my light color first, my Melon Mambo. And let's throw a little bit here. Okay, now we're going to do Rich Razzleberry. And I want to leave some space for the Petal Pink because I'm not coloring with that. I want to keep some of that as one of my colors. So I did find that I try to, when I did the greens, all the 3 colors, I tried to make sure that the colors I'm doing like really match right up against the darkest part of the previous color, because otherwise you're going to have another color tone in there. And it's okay, but let me show you here. Like here, it's just a little bit light in there, so there's some white showing through. For this one, it doesn't matter so much because that's a color that I want to show, so I'm not too concerned about where that's going to meet up. Just turn this around so I can get to the other side here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm just trying to picture how this is going to look. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to finish with this one because this really needs to sit for a few minutes before you can put any embossing on there, because the embossing powder will stick to all of that wet ink. So you want to just put it aside for a few minutes, or dry it with your heat tool. And so I'm going to put these colors aside, and now I'm going to take up the one that's finished, and the green one that's finished. And I'm going to go from start to finish after the colors laid down here. Okay, so first of all, I want to use my embossing buddy. Mine is pretty old and sad, so I have to tap it a little bit to make sure it's laying down the powder like it should. Okay, so next I'm going to emboss my images. So I need my Versamark pad, and I have my tray with my clear powder. Has to be clear powder, otherwise it's not gonna you're not gonna see these colors come through. Okay, you also have to think about what image you're using. It needs to be a fairly solid image, otherwise when we go to the next step where we're laying the black ink over top of this, it would get down into your if this was just an outline, then you would have black inside of all of those leaves. So it has to be a fairly solid design in order to make this work. All right, so I'm going to use 4 stamps from the Forever Fern. And I will tell you that you may have to emboss and then add some more, just because it's really hard to see where you've stamped. So you got to really think about where you stamped before you put down your next image. So I inked them all up so that they're ready to go. Oops. I thought if I do this all at one time, I can see the shimmer a little bit there, so I think I'm okay. I'm going to turn this around. Ink these again. This stays wet pretty long on your paper, so you don't have to rush too quickly. I must have the right lighting now because I can actually see where I'm going. Before I couldn't. And one last here in the corner. Okay. Put those back. Now we're going to get powder all over this. Doesn't that look cool? Now I can take a look at it and flick that off good and see if there's anywhere that I think I might need more design, but I think I like that, so I'm going to put that back, and I'm going to heat this. And let me just grab my cardboard under here that I use for stamping with StazOn. Okay, so it's going to get loud for just a second. You'll notice how I'm not flinging this around because I'm following the pattern to make sure that I've got everything heated as I go. Lots of light is good for this too, because then you can see if it's shiny. Okay, that is it. Now you can see all the pretty design in there. But it still doesn't look cool because you see all those splotches of color. That's going to go away in just a second. Oh, I forgot to, okay. So I'm using the Memento black pad. And I didn't re-ink it, but it's good and juicy. Got plenty of ink on here. Get rid of the cardboard there. Okay, so I'm just going to start wiping it across my paper. I want it to fall down in between the design. So I'm just giving some nice pressure. I like this pad because it's hard and I can put some pressure on it. But our regular pads work good too because they get down in the grooves pretty easily without a lot of pressure. You can see how wet that is, and that needs to dry just a little bit so that I can see if I've got everything covered. You can see how messy my hands are since I've been playing with this technique today and trying not to get more black on my hands. Now the next step, I'm going to give that a few seconds to dry. The next step is wiping off the paper so that all the black that's on the embossing comes off. See how that just lays on top because it's resisting the ink. This here is almost dry. There's hardly any ink coming off there, but this here is going to stay wet and it's not going to go anywhere except smudging everything. So we have to get rid of all of that. So I'm going to just start here, and I'm using a rag. For my first card I used a tissue, and I want to tell you that white tissue was all over my black paper. So that did not work very well. But this cloth works wonderful. It leaves a nice finish on the black area. You can see that's still a little wet, but it's coming off nicely as I'm wiping this. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's come over here and finish this side. This is just a technique that gives you an instant gratification. So put the chocolate away. You don't need it. This will do it. Look how gorgeous that is. So cool. All right. So I said I wasn't going to show you the other card. I wasn't going to finish that, but I think you really want to see it because it's done just a little bit differently. So let's bring that back here. This paper looks awful, so let's try another piece of scrap paper. Okay, so I think I have everything here. I did put my stamps away, so let me just grab those out. And let's see, I don't need this one. All right, so I used the feather and this flower and the sprig of green there. I don't know the names of those. Just need a block here. Let me see. Okay, that one. And we'll put this one on here. Okay, so once again, I need to use my embossing buddy. And I'm going to go ahead and ink my stamps up like I did before with Versamark. Start with my largest. see this one quite as well as I could the other one. I'll bring that in here. It's always fun trying to figure out how to stamp randomly. I do want to get another feather in here, so I don't want to lose my spot for that. And then one more flower. Okay, let's see if that is enough. We'll bring our powder back in here. I always fling it off because I want to make sure that I get everything off that shouldn't be there, and I'm not sure what that was doing there. Alright, I think we're ready to heat this baby up. Bring my cardboard back in here again, just so I don't burn my paper. Okay. All right, so now this one, like I said, is going to be a little different because we're not using black as our cover. We're going to actually use Blackberry Bliss as the color that's going to go over top of all of this. So I have on here right now, we put Melon Mambo and Rich Razzleberry, and we have Petal Pink behind here. So I think I'm ready. I should probably put one right there, but we'll do this for now. Like I said, this is, these pads are softer, so I don't have to press this. I have to just sort of slide it along. Lots of chances to get messy, guys. All right, I think I have it covered. You can see some of the color peeking through there and resisting. Come back with my rag and just gently wipe the color off. Look at that pop. Is that awesome? That is so cool. Looks like my feather got a little bit into the flower there, but I'm just amazed. I just love how that turned out. I'll give you a little close up. So this is the finished card from that. Let me get rid of that. And then this is the finished card from this one. I added a little bit of our gold foil designer elements. And then this one is just the pieces that were left over from this one. So I hope you enjoyed that. That is Joseph's coat. Any color you can put together. This one would be okay. You could have done a green background instead of the black, or Pretty Peacock is really good for that. So yeah, you can. I would love to see what you've done. If you would like to post something, send something to me and I'll post it. You can post it on our Facebook page. So whatever you would like to do, I would